Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a junk journal with me, but it is a Christmas themed junk journal with me. So I posted on my Instagram to explain that this year I'm not doing a December daily like I have the last couple of years. I've decided to instead just use my normal journal for my Christmas journaling and just to divide up part of the journal and dedicate it all to Christmas journaling. So instead of just choosing a page anywhere in my journal when I do my Christmas journaling, I'm going to have just one section that's sort of divided off, that's dedicated just to Christmas. So to do that, I went towards the back of my journal where I have the most bare space, and I tried to find a bunch of pages that didn't have anything to interrupt them, so just pages one after another that I could use for Christmas journaling. And so I picked quite a few pages that I thought would work okay, and I decided to use this whole section as my Christmas journaling. And I thought that to make it really obvious that this was sort of a different part of my journal, I would wrap a piece of Christmas sort of style paper around this section, and you'll see how I do that in a minute. I had to cut off one of my tabs to do this because it was sticking out too much to be able to wrap this paper the whole way around. But I thought I would glue the pattern paper onto the back or the last page of that section, and then fold it over so that it's kind of like an envelope or like a little folder, and it just wraps over the first page in that section, so it keeps the whole section wrapped up. That's really the best way I can describe it, but I just thought that if I did this, it'll make it really obvious to me and to anyone else that this is like a different little divided part of my journal. And also I wanted to be able to go all out with the Christmas theme, and so I thought that if it was all in its own little section, then it's not going to sort of clash with the rest of my journal. I can keep the rest of my journal my normal style, and then in this section I can go crazy with the Christmas decorations and stuff like that and the Christmas colors. And I'm going to treat this journaling just like I do with the rest of my journaling, and I'm going to do it spontaneously, so I'm not going to do it every single day. I'm just going to take any memorable parts of my month or anything that's Christmas themed that's memorable or that I have ephemera for, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it into this section. And I'm not going to necessarily divide things into, on this date we did this. I'm just going to mishmash it all together like true junk journal style, like what I do in the rest of my journal. And yeah, I'm just going to have a bit of fun with it and just document the most sort of important or significant things that stick out in my mind, or anything that I have laying around that I want to put into my journal that is December or Christmas related. So you can see I just cut that patterned paper down, and then I glued it onto the last page of this section that I chose, and then I decided to add just a little bit of tape along the middle of that. I didn't add it perfectly, but I don't really care because that can all get covered up later. And then it folds over the little extra part that I also trimmed down just a little bit, and that folds over and overlaps that first page. And then I was thinking about maybe using an excess bit of that paper to create a little place that the flap can tuck into, like a little envelope. But in the end I decided not to do that. I decided just to wrap it over, and later on I might use something to keep this closed, or I might come up with something like a little closure on this page, but for now it just wraps around. I thought I better leave it flexible because I don't know how bulky or thick these pages are going to get, and so I kind of need to leave myself a little bit of growing room. I may need to refold that little flappy bit at the end of the month if it gets really bulky and it no longer sort of fits around it. So I just wanted to leave myself the room to do that if I need to. And then I decided to just put a label on the front that says Christmas 2019, and I thought that later on if we get a family photo I'll just stick that on that little flap above the label there, and if I don't I'll use something else later to decorate that a bit more. But I didn't want to do too much yet because I didn't know how this was all going to come together, and because we're still in the first half of the month I just wanted to wait and see what I have at the end to decorate the first page, because that's kind of, I feel like it should be you should put one of your favorite things on the first page. It's kind of like creating a cover, a journal cover, and I feel like that part is really, really important because that's really welcoming and inviting you and other people to look or to be drawn to it. So I like my first pages or my front covers to be really enticing. So I decided to glue down one of my vintage linen printables. This is from one of the Christmas collections that I have in my Etsy store, and I had printed this double-sided a couple of years ago, and I decided to use this one on this side, and I glued it down, and then just to make that first page sort of match in with the last page, or that pattern paper that wraps around, I decided in the end to glue that little excess piece of scrapbook paper over so that when you lift up the flap it still has that pattern. And I feel like that just kind of helps it look more like, I guess, you've got your front cover and your back cover and they kind of match together, if that makes sense. So now moving to the inside pages here, I have a bunch of photos that I printed out so far from the Christmas season. So I have a picture of our ornaments that we picked this year. We each picked a new ornament for our tree, and then I've also got some pictures of our Christmas tree, decorating our Christmas tree and doing some gingerbread houses. So all of these things happened on different days, but when I'm journaling about them, I am trying to keep the different days or the different journaling themes grouped together, but I'm not necessarily writing out the dates for each thing and the days and what we did particularly on a particular day. So I guess the first challenge in this was just to make the inside pages here look Christmas related, because this is just my regular journal, so the papers that are in here are not Christmas themed. And so I really wanted it to be really Christmas themed. I feel like because you only get to do your Christmas journaling once a year, or you only have Christmas once a year, it's really fun to go all out with those Christmas colours and all the Christmas ephemera that you don't get to use that often. And so I really wanted to be able to decorate all the pages, and so I really had to sort of give myself permission to cover up what was already there. So even though the papers that were in this section are already really cute and really fun, I had to sort of tell myself it's okay to cover this up. I want this to be Christmas themed, so if it doesn't work for Christmas, it's okay to cover it up. It's just paper. I have plenty of other paper. It's okay. So if I felt like something was clashing with the Christmas theme, or if something didn't really have the Christmas vibe, then I would cover it up with other things so that it would all tie in really well together. So on the first page, I decided to put this picture of my kids decorating the Christmas tree, and I had this piece of storybook paper that had "Oh Christmas Tree," the song, and so I cut that down so that it could be sort of like a frame for the photo. And then beside that, the little envelope, I wanted to make it look more Christmassy because I feel like pink, I know that a lot of people love pink for Christmas, and it's one of the colour themes that people do tend to go for, but for me, I'm a really traditional green and red girl. I always have been, I think, because that's what I grew up with, and so I tried to cover up some of the pink and make it look more Christmassy, and then in the end I ended up covering it up even more because I just felt like it didn't feel Christmassy to me. So I started out with a doily that had the holly on it, and I just cut it down so that it could be like the little envelope flap, and I just used also a little bit of washi tape over the edge of that to make sure it wasn't going to come up. The only thing with using doilies, as pretty as they are, is that they're so fragile and they're so easily ripped. So I was kind of tossing up doing this, but I really like how it looked, so I thought it should hopefully be fine. And then I figured, because I have so many photos here of the Christmas tree, they are quite similar to each other, even though they have their differences. So I have one of my husband picking up our son to put the star on the top, and then I have another here of Roo sitting under the tree with our kitty cat Sugar. And so I wanted to include these, so I took two photos, the larger ones, and I sewed them back to back to put into the envelope, and then the one that has the picture of Roo and Sugar together I decided to keep out, and I wanted that one to be more seen or more displayed on a page. And in my actual journal, there's this page which you can see here that it's a storybook page, and it has a illustration of a grey and white cat, which happens to look a lot like our little Sugar. And so I thought that would be really perfect to go along with that photo, which left me with one page in between to fill in. And so I'm really just looking through my pile of Christmas stuff and trying to decide what I could put here. And I guess I've said this before, I feel like junk journaling for me is kind of like doing a puzzle. You're kind of just fitting things together until it looks like it's finished. So just filling in any gaps and any places that look like they need something. And so for me, this whole process was, first of all, trying to get the base of the pages done because they weren't Christmassy. And so I was just trying to work out how to tie that theme into these pages. So this illustration with the little boy and the little girl is really cute, and I was hesitant to cover it up just because I do like that illustration, but I thought it doesn't have any sort of relevance to Christmas, and I don't know how I would use that page for this because there's not much room to add to it without covering it up anyway. And so I thought I'm just going to cover up that whole illustration, and so I took some music paper. This is some old vintage music paper, and I'm just going to use that as the background for that page. On the following page with the image of the kitty cat, I thought I would dedicate that to talking about the ornaments that we chose this year, and to put that photo of my daughter and our cat on that page as well, so that all ties in really well. I also have here a piece of paper from an old Frankie diary, and it says December on it. It's just got a really cute background, and then it's got a place to write on the days. So it's like an old daily diary, and so it's not really relevant anymore. So I thought I may as well just use up this pretty paper. So I'm going to use that as just general journaling space. So I glued that on the page beside the kitty cat illustration, and that just helped to fill in that blank space and make it feel a bit more Christmassy. And then underneath that illustration of the cat, I had a scrap of vintage writing paper that had a pretty sort of wreath design, and I thought that helped to frame the picture that I had of our ornaments that we chose this year. So we each chose an ornament, and we also got an extra ornament that is a cat. So it's another little grey cat in a red jumper and a red hat, and it's really cute, and that's just to symbolize Sugar. I guess that's Sugar's ornament this year, so it's kind of cute. And so I felt like that went with the children's book paper that had the cat as well. And I decided to just put a couple of staples along the bottom on top of that, just to make sure that it was stuck down really well, just because all those layers were kind of thick. So I glued that photo of Roo and Sugar on the page beside that, and I just stuck it straight on top of the lined paper there, and then I'm going to use the rest of that page just for journaling. Many times in this session and in other journaling sessions you might see me do, I often put washi tape down the middle, or like sort of the seam of the pages, and that's because when I'm gluing things onto the pages, sometimes in the center things can tend to lift up, and it just helps to keep everything sitting flat, because otherwise it can start to catch when you turn the page, and then it can get creased and folded and lifted further. So it just kind of protects that from happening. I have that vintage paper with the present illustration, and I decided to just glue this down on the bare page. So the original page there was really, really thin, and so it's kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of resistant to stick a lot of things on top of it. I like that paper with the presents just made it a bit thicker so that I could confidently fill it up with more ephemera. And again, you see me putting the washi tape down the middle of the page. That's, as I said, just to keep everything in its place and to stop things from getting lifted up or creased. and because that washi tape is so wide, sometimes I just trim it down the middle so that it's a little bit thinner and it's still super wide when it's trimmed down the middle. Now I'm thinking these pages will be really nice for our gingerbread house photos. So we did 2 gingerbread houses with my sister and her baby. So she's my first little niece, which is really fun. My kids have a cousin for the first time this Christmas, which is so much fun. So we did the gingerbread house activity together, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I thought I'll dedicate these 2 pages to those photos of the gingerbread house and to journaling about that. And I'm just working out the best placement for the photo so that it looks kind of even to look at and easy to look at. And you'll see that I sometimes use double-sided tape and sometimes use glue to stick things down. Usually for photos I'll lean towards the double-sided tape, but I was getting low on double-sided tape in this journaling session, so if I felt like glue was going to be enough, I just used my glue stick. Now the other 2 remaining photos you see me with here, I have one of the journals that I'm working on for Christmas this year, and I'm so sorry I did not get them done in time for December. I really wanted to have them done and available before December, but I just ran out of time. I'm almost finished them, so I'm trying really hard to get them finished this weekend, and then they will become available next week. And then this other picture that I'm working with on this page is a picture of a bag I put together for Share the Dignity, which is a really good little charity sort of organisation here in Australia that allows anyone to donate a bag full of sort of basic supplies that anyone should be entitled to. So hygiene, feminine hygiene products, and like shampoo, conditioner, soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, all that kind of thing. So you can donate a bag full of stuff, and all you had to do was give it to your closest Bunnings store, and they would get it to where it needs to go, so that women facing homelessness or domestic violence and other difficult situations this Christmas could receive a bag. I just thought that was such a great thing to support. It makes it really easy to make sure that what you're donating is actually going to someone and is going to make a difference to someone. I guess sometimes with charities you don't know exactly where the money that you donate is going to go, or how it's going to be dispersed, but with this charity, it's number one, you know that what you donate is going to go to someone that needs it, and also they make it really easy because you can just go to Bunnings and donate it. It makes it so easy. So it was my first time participating in that, so I'm definitely going to join in again next year. So now I'm just going through and flicking through all the pages and making sure everything is matching together, and added anything that I felt was lacking, like washi tape. And then on this next page, this is the last page I'm going to do in this journaling session, I wanted to put in that photo of the journals that I'm making. So this picture is of the journals in their non-finished state. It's just a picture of the covers waiting to be all put together with the pages. I just wanted to journal a little bit about them. I feel like a lot of times I don't actually document what I make. I don't know, it's a huge part of my life, but sometimes the photos of what I make don't end up getting documented in my own journal. So I just thought that I would make the effort to take a photo of what I've made and do a little bit of journaling about that. And on this other page beside that, I thought I will fill it in with have this calendar. I have this little smash book calendar, and it's a pocket, and so I thought I would just glue that along the bottom of the page, and I could use that as my little month at a glance calendar. So it's got that pocket along the top too, and then this is also glued onto a big envelope page that is bound into my journal, and so it's got that top loading pocket, and then it's got the side loading pocket in the actual page itself. So this is a page that I can use later to sort of hold extra bits and pieces. And then on the page beside that, where I'm going to put the photo of my journals, I had this scrap of paper. This was a 6x6 paper that had the cute little trees, And so it's literally a scrap from last year. I thought that I may as well just use it as it is, stick my photo on top, and then just fill in all those extra places that need something. So for my own personal journaling this year, I've got a pile of stuff beside me that is just like leftover scraps of papers from journals I've made the last couple of years, and also journaling that I've done in my December daily journals the last couple of years. And so I'm just trying to use up all of my scraps. A lot of these papers I still really, really love, because I guess because you only get to use them once a year, it takes longer to get sick of them, kind of keep their novelty each year. So I feel like I may as well just use up the scraps that I have, and yeah. So I put that little scrap of lined scrapbook paper below the picture of my journals so that I could just write directly on top of that. And then I think after this, I took out some stickers just to help embellish all of the pages. So now I have all of my pages that I'm working on in this journaling session pretty much where I want them to be. Now it's just adding sort of any extra decorations or elements that are going to help embellish the page and bring it all together. So little bits of decorative tape, stickers, any labels or tiny word stickers, anything like that, that's just going to help to decorate it a little bit more. I decided to take this scrap of paper. This is another scrapbook paper, and it's like a black or an almost black paper that has a pretty white Christmas botanical illustration sort of on it, and I thought I would use that to cover up some more pink on this envelope, because I just kind of wasn't really feeling that coral pink for Christmas. So I just glued that scrap of paper over the top of the envelope just to cover it up a little bit more. And now just taking out a bunch of stickers help decorate the pages and just to make everything look more blended and embellished and just match in together really nicely. I really like these tiny word stickers. I mentioned this last time I think, but I really like these tiny word stickers on top of photos because they're clear. So these are the Maggie Holmes, I think, Heritage sticker collection, and these ones are really cute on top of photos because, like I said, they're clear, so it just looks like the text is floating there on top of the photo. So I went through and I stuck a bunch of those onto most of the photos in my journal. I just really like the touch that they give. It sort of helps to annotate everything into like the words that you choose can really help to tell the story or the feelings that you feel that go with that particular photo and the journaling that you've done. So yeah, I really like using tiny word stickers. They're definitely something that I've been, the last couple of times I've done a junk journal with me, I think I've used, or maybe even every time I do a junk journal with me, I always tend to use tiny word stickers. So they're something that I use a lot, but I feel like I don't give them as much credit as I should because I do reach for them so much. But yeah, I really feel like they're so small, obviously they're tiny word stickers, but they do add a lot to the page and it's very subtle, which I really appreciate. Added a couple of those like photo corner stickers around some of the photos as well, and I feel like those help to just enhance the whole look of the page. It sort of helps to lift the photo up off the page and make it stand out a little bit more like a frame. It's like a frame without covering up too much. And the stickers that I'm using are not Christmas themed stickers. I just pulled out the stickers that I usually have with my journaling supplies, and I feel like they go fine for Christmas. When you tie them in with other Christmas related things and papers and photos, it all just works together well in the end. Actually, a lot of the things that I used in this journaling process weren't necessarily or technically Christmas themed. When you tie them in with other Christmassy things, like I said, it all seems to work together and come together to give the look that you want. So this is the finished pages. I hope you guys enjoyed this process. I am definitely going to try my best to do another Christmas junk journal with me. I already have some stuff that I want to journal about, but I'm going to have hopefully at least one more, but maybe two more Christmas journal journal with me videos coming up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you are interested in seeing the Christmas junk journals I've been making this year, I will have a video when I get them done, and I'm hoping that will be this weekend or early next week, but don't quote me because I don't really know. I'm just going to try my best. So I hope you guys are all doing really well, and I hope you have been enjoying your holiday season so far, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.